Many congratulations, Raveena, for the Nakshatra Award. And I don't think I would like to slot you in any era. I think you are eternal as an artist. And artists really don't have any kind of from this to this. They live forever, and that's what art is all about. Yes? Thank you. All right. So, generally when we speak about cinema, when we speak about films, we keep it to great directors. Of course, there are great directors. But like I said, our first teacher at home is the mother, always. Now, Raveena, you come from a fantastic film family. Ravi Tondon ji, your father, I remember all the films, Khud Garz, Khel Khel Mein, Majboor, shows that I only saw films, did nothing else. Also, your uncle, McMohan, the famous Samba from Sholay, iconic. Who doesn't know him? But I have read an interview by Ravi ji where he said, all that is fine, she had talent, बहुत talented लड़की थी. Lekin it was the mother, Veena ji, which I do not think many people know about this. These are little nuggets that one needs to know. Isn't that right, Raveena?
I think I agree with you because you are right. My dad would never refrain from mentioning my mother every time when it came to giving her due credit for the upbringing, because ultimately, and honestly, especially being experienced, I have two grown-up children now. I have two adoptive and I have two biological children as well. I do think that the upbringing, the major part contributing towards any child's nourishment, nurturing, and their upbringing is the mother. And same way, I think it was my mum who played a very integral part as far as I'm concerned. And like you yourself did quote my father.
Yeah.
पापा ने यही कहा था शायद इंटरव्यू में जो आपने मुझे बताया कि it was all in the genes.
And that's because of dancing. Talk a little about that. Was she a trained dancer? How did that happen? Did it come to you genetically? Or did she actually teach you and you didn't even realize कि ये बात के लिए हो रहा है?
I think it was genetics because कहीं ना कहीं मम्मी ने तो 15 साल किया हुआ था बिरजू महाराज के अंडर कथक, तो उनमें always एक artistic था ही trait, and वो कहीं ना कहीं शायद हमारे खून में भी आ गया very naturally. So I think it was genetics, क्योंकि जब मैंने अपना करियर का शुरुआत किया तो बिल्कुल ऐसे नहीं था कि ट्रेनिंग ली और मम्मी ने ट्रेनिंग दिया, इन्होंने ट्रेनिंग दिया, कुछ एक्चुअली अनहर्ड था कि मैं फिल्म ज्वाइन करूंगी, बिकॉज किसी के जहन में आया भी नहीं था कि आई एम गोइंग टू जॉइन द मूवीज वन डे, एंड इट जस्ट काइंड ऑफ जस्ट हैपेंड फॉर मी. सो दैट इज हाउ इट वाज.
Lovely. So you see, there is one, these days the most popular thing is Nepo kids, we keep hearing it. But the point is that here is somebody who's from a film family and well spun, बिल्कुल घुस जाओ फिल्म में, उस टाइप की फैमिली.
आप नेपो किड्स की बात करेंगे तो हमारी आधी पॉलिटिक्स, आधी इंडस्ट्री खत्म हो जाएगी.
लेकिन आपका जहाँ तक ताल्लुक है, what I'm coming to, Raveena,
जहाँ तक आप हमारे देश की बात कर रहे हैं, अगर नेपोटिज्म की बात करेंगे.
But you joined Genesis. I mean, you see, you did not say, okay, I'm going to now join cinema. So I want to then, your first film happens in 1991, which is Patthar Ke Phool. Tell us a bit about that. Were you just picked up from there? You were working with Prahlad Kakkar. Talk about that.
Well, शुरुआत तो वैसे ही हुई थी. I was doing my post and pre-production work with Prahlad Kakkar. I was his assistant. And everyone used to tell me, you're not cut out for being behind the screen. You need to be in front of the screen. And that's how the journey started. And one day I was just offered this one big film. And I just said yes to it. It was actually very interesting the way I started.
Yeah.
I had been offered a lot of movies and I had been constantly saying no because I actually wanted to get into direction.
Right.
I had not thought of acting because a lot of actors, probably since they're children, they want to grow up to become actors, right? I did not want to get into acting. And I never looked at myself in the mirror and said, oh my God, I'm going to be a star one day. Because if you'd look at me when I was 13 or 14, you would not even turn around and say, oh my God, this one's going to be a star. I was this round, roly-poly kid with two, oil in my hair and two plaits and doing my 8th and 9th standard. But interestingly so, I said no to a lot of films initially. And Salman Khan's film, that was his first film, was a very big hit, Maine Pyar Kiya. And soon after that, I was offered his second film because somehow people had seen me in the advertising world.
Okay.
And they kind of approached me for his second film. And I remember going, I was in my FIJC, and I went to college canteen mein, and I told my friends, guess what? I've been offered a film with Salman Khan. And they were like, are you serious? They were like, हाथ जोड़ के यार तू इस फिल्म को हाँ कर दे, उसके बाद तू फिल्में कर नहीं कर, we don't care, we just want to come and sit on your shooting and meet Salman Khan. And that's how I signed my first film, just because my friends wanted to meet and hang with Salman Khan.
Right. And you know,
that is exactly how I planned my career.
And you know, today we talk about swag, we talk about women, which is so fantastic, women on bikes and everything. Correct me if I'm wrong, here is a woman we see who went to Mitibai College in an open jeep. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yes, you are absolutely right. I also do believe that how much ever I do contribute, to be fair to all the fantastic men sitting here in our audience, that even though I contribute a 70% of upbringing to my mom and to all the mothers that are there who nurture and nourish their kids, I do believe that behind every strong daughter is an doting and a strong father.
Love.
I totally believe, and this is for all the men out here, because it was my dad who taught me literally how to change car tires, to drive, to ride a bike, and I was absolutely allowed to do everything that my brother did. In every way, if he's learning to change this tire and he's going to wash the cars on Sunday, you're going to wash the cars as well. And you're not going to drive a car till you don't know, what is under the hood in that car.
Right.
Because tomorrow you're stranded anywhere, you're stuck anywhere. I don't want you calling anyone for help. You need to be standing on your own feet or literally, sitting down and changing that tire yourself. You're not going to call anyone. You are going to be there dependent on yourself to do whatever you have to do on your own.
Fantastic.
And that's how he brought me up.
Let's talk about the transition in your craft. So we know, from Mohra, we know Sheher Ki Ladki, we know Andaz Apna Apna, people laughed with you, sat there, Then the transition happened and we saw you in Shool, the wife of a cop. And I can never forget the scene when Manoj Bajpayee, the door opens and you faces him after he's lost your child, lost as in lost forever. Then there is, of course, Daman, there is, of course, Ghulam-e Mustafa, there is Aqs. Tell us about that. Did you make a conscious decision, Raveena, that this is, now I'm getting all these female-oriented films where I can be somebody else in every film and I'm going to do it? How did this transition happen?
I think in every actor's life, or I think in every artist's life, you evolve along the way. And that's exactly what happened to me. There was a point, yes, where I was playing the young, rich, spoiled brat. And all I changed was not my dialogues, but just my costumes for the next film. So it was literally doing the same role in every second film. Nonetheless, there came a point where I said, yes, now it's the time where I want to do something more substantial. I want to do something that challenges me as an actor, that challenges me as what my craft is. And I'll tell you another very interesting thing. I consciously did it at the peak of my career where I had commercial success.
Yeah.
And even keeping that in mind, where people thought, oh, if you're, in those days there was the art cinema, realistic cinema, and then commercial cinema.
Yes.
So in those days it was, oh, if you leaned towards, leaned a little more towards art cinema, you were the arty-farty types, and oh, you're giving up on your commercial success.
Right.
So for me, it was a conscious effort to do that quite in the beginning of my career. And honestly, in the 90s, or a little before the 90s, in the 80s probably, that was, I think, when I was also too young, but one would hear, the generation before me, the heroines and the actresses, they mostly had to hang up their boots, या तो वो retire कर जाते थे जब उनकी शादियाँ हो जाती थी, क्योंकि हमारी audiences शायद शादीशुदा औरतें accept नहीं करती थी.
Right.
और जब हमारे heroes जो साथी कलाकार थे, उनको वो समय मिल जाता था by the time they were in their middle ages to hone their skills, to become fantastic actors, to master their craft. They got that time to evolve.
Right.
Whereas when the time came for our women in the industry to be great at their work, to be masters of their craft, they were told to retire.
Right.
That is something which I never understood. Which now, we have the strength, we have the independence, and we have different various platforms.
So Raveena, you have, are you saying in cinema or in OTT where you've really done very well? We've seen, you know, Karma Calling is one. I've seen promos of that. I'm really waiting. It's coming sometime in March, if I'm not wrong. But you know, what about, you've done a lot of other OTTs as well. Do you think it's OTT or cinema? Both give you the opportunity.
I think
now.
Both.
Yeah.
I think the basic viewpoint or the awareness that is there in our audience today. एक तो exposure इतना हुआ है हमारे audiences को global cinema में through via OTT, via various festivals कि अब हर तरीके के cultures, हर तरीके के फिल्में हमारी audiences देखती हैं. तो accepting ज़्यादा है. I'm sure a lot of my colleagues in this room and ex-colleagues who are now, you know, strong political leaders here, my friend Khushbu is here in the audience, whom I completely love. But she will agree to what I'm saying, that by the time, you know, actresses reached that point where they had to hone their skills, they were asked to retire. But now we have that strength, whether it's through cinema. I did a film called KGF 2.
Yes,
which today is the 4th highest you know, grossing film in the Indian history of films.
Right.
So that was a huge hit.
Yeah.
So whether it is cinema that gave me a role like something what I could do in KGF 2, or there was an Aranyak, or now there is Karma Calling, soon there will be a Patna Shukla. I've just, you know, going ahead with another couple of films now. I've done a Gurchadi with Sanju. I'm doing with Sanju, Sunil Shetty and Akshay, I'm doing Welcome 3. So it's all these, you know, this time where I think women have actually come onto their own in our industry as well.
Yes.
And we have actually stood our ground and said, hello, we ain't retiring.
We ain't retiring. I think we need a round of applause. And from all the men, more than the women here, that, you know, we ain't retiring, we ain't going anywhere, we're staying right here. You know, let's talk about tropes now, you know, stereotypes. And go back to the time, Khushbu, I mean, it all happened in our, you know, where you had either a Devi or a Dayan. There was nothing in between. So a Devi would be this, you know, a woman clad in a sari and not knowing that we can be very wicked. But then, you know, also the stereotypical thing that you can't take such a woman home. You know, don't you think at least that thing has been blurred, Raveena?
You know, I'll actually little cut you midway in this, because I think I broke that stereotype with a film called Daman.
Yes.
For which I won the national award.
Kalpana Lajmi.
Yes. Kalpana Lajmi.
Yes.
And at a time when you rightfully said, when our films were depicting ke bhala hai, bura hai, jaisa bhi hai, mera pati, mera devta hai, you know, we were depicting that. And even though the villain was the worst person that you saw on screen, but the hero's बहन would always stand in front and said, "Goli, पहले मुझे लगेगी फिर मेरे सुहाग को," you know. Whereas I probably would have stepped and said, "Go get him, dude." It's like, but nonetheless, jokes apart, we did make a film called Daman in the year 2000, which spoke about marital rape and domestic violence, which till date is being debated in the Supreme Court.
That's right, marital rape, yes.
And we still haven't passed that law, which I'm hoping that we do soon, because there are a lot of stereotypes to be broken. Because earlier on, everyone was कि ठीक है, whatever the जो भी झगड़े हैं, जो भी violence है, वो घर की चार दीवारी से बाहर नहीं जाए. And women were victimized throughout. And that is exactly what that woman, you know, the movie Daman spoke about in the year in 2000.
Right.
And we are in 2024.
Right. Yes.
24 years down the line, I still feel that that topic is still so relevant, that we are still talking about women not being able to come out and are constantly quiet on being victimized, whether it is domestic violence or it is rape or it is every horrific form of abuse.
All right, so, you know, India poised for the next big leap. We have shining examples of women. I mean, if I name all of them, it's going to take at least 15 minutes. But I'm going to take two names. Indra Nooyi is one, and the other is Meera Nair, and comes from your field. Great filmmaker, started way back. Salam Bombay was what, like 35 years ago, right? I want to ask you that, what does it take? I mean, we are one nation which makes the largest number of films and fantastic cinema. You know, look at where our cinema has gone. What do you think will take? How do you look at the future for our cinema to be right on top, doing even better than this? Because sky is the limit, Raveena Tondon.
I definitely feel that as far as our Indian cinema is concerned, where I do see that I do see in today's day and age a very united front.
Right.
So we have strong films coming from every part of our country, north, south, east, west. And it is pretty incomparable. You know, actually, I cannot even say that we can compare to anyone else or any other industry, because actually today, if you see, we are the greatest industry that is there globally.
Yes, true.
The amount of films per annual that we come out with, the production value, the costing of the films that we make. Today, whether a Bahubali or if you see a film like RRR, they probably cost much more than a Mission Impossible 4.
Right.
You know, and the kind of monies that we put in and the kind of investment that we've done and the kind of returns also that we're getting. It's high time that our industry is touted today as taking a global stand and not waiting anymore to be called the second best and definitely not to be called Bollywood. Trust me, all the industry insiders hate the word Bollywood. That is something that does not conform with us at all.
And also Sandalwood and Tollywood
Bollywood,
and Collywood.
Lollywood and Tollywood and Mollywood and Sollywood, and we are very sorry wood. We don't want to be known as any wood. We are the Indian film industry, and that's how we stand at.
Absolutely. And give it up for the film industry. Ladies and gentlemen, Raveena Tondon, the eternal star. What a pleasure it has been. Thank you very much. And many congratulations for the Nakshatra Award. And that's the way to go, Nari Shakti.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.